Okay, I'm back. Part 2. I wasn't even going that long, to tell you the truth. So, let's see. Heat gun. Really? I think I'd be set up for you and all ready to go. But I work in real time. Man, this heat gun's seen its better days. It's going through a lot of work. Look how blackened that tip is. Surprised it lasted that long. It's a Milwaukee. They're built to last. Built to last longer than it should. Oh, I got some latex on the end of my. Let me get rid of that. All right. Now I need my plug. There we go. I got to be careful because this is only a thin coat. What the hell? Hope I didn't knock that camera around. Hold on, let me check the camera. Probably did. Let me just move this thing so it's not in the way of my chair. Sorry about that, guys. Let's do this right. All right, there we go. And now the leg's not tripping me. Okay. All right, let's throw a little heat on this. Not far. I got to do it from a distance. Just to gum it up a little. Make it so I'm not spreading it, and all I have to do is layer the next half. Layer some more on. Yeah, it's good heat. I got it on low heat. There's high and low on this. And as long as I can keep my hand in front of that, that's good. So I'm about a foot, maybe about 14 inches away from the face of this. And you can see it, it's starting to turn translucent. So it is working. The puddles won't turn right away. Now I won't even cut this off with this excess until this is completely cured in about a week. I got to make sure I got plenty of latex over top of it though, so it doesn't peel off. Okay, let's leave it at that for a few minutes. Ready for the next coat. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that this is somewhat thicker on here the second time around. And because that's kind of sealed at this point, especially up top and bottom, I want to make sure that's not peeling away from where I trim this. At the very end, I'll make sure that I put more latex right at the edges so it'll never come undone. Put a little right on the brush. I think this is going to work. I do. I really think this is going to work. I'm just making sure that I have plenty on it. Especially over here, it looks like it's a little too thin. The main thing is making sure you have plenty of latex right where the mouth is. And now that I have that first layer on there, it's probably not bleeding through. Caking it on, baby, caking it on. And wherever it's loose on the outer edges, you just cut off. You just take a razor blade, just, X-Acto knife and cut it around and take off all the excess. I think it's going to be that simple of a method. I don't think that this is rocket science. This is an experiment to see if it works. Important part is making sure that you scratch up the surface of the old latex and, really scratch it up good so the latex can grab to it. Put that first coat on there, then stick your fabric on, then start layering the coats over top. And back to this. See, once this has a skin on it, even though that the thicker stuff is not dry thoroughly through, the main part of it, once it starts getting a little translucent, nothing will bleed through. So anything I add on to it, it just thickens it and gives you a little bit more, strength, where you don't have to worry about it coming off. Maybe I don't even have to do a big area like this, but I think the bigger the area, the more strength it has in case, like, your mouth, your face is really, long and the mask is real tight on you. All right, I gotta back up. A little too hot. Yeah, that's looking good. Sorry for the lighting. I had to set up a different table for my for this process. And I'm just painting it on. Okay, so we're gonna do the next. Let me see if that's probably sticky enough. I just have to. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting a nice thick line and letting it run down now because it's really sealed. That fabric's pretty sealed. See how much thicker I put that on that time? actually. Here's what I'll do. Tilt the mask back just a little bit. Making sure it's nice and thick at the base. Where it's joining the chin. And whenever you do this, you always want to recommend that you repair the mask. But if people start pulling on this, it's liable to come off. I'm not sure about it. We're going to see. But if people are brutal with their mask, the repair won't hold up to, it'll repair. I think it'll hold up to wearing. I think it'll hold up to that, but I don't think it'll hold up to start pulling away at the. You don't want to start pulling on this area at all. You see a loose end, you leave it or bring it back, and we'll put a little bit of latex on it again. For that matter, you could probably run and get your own latex, a little quart of it or something. You see, that's nice and thick now, minus the air bubbles. I'm going to have to fill those air bubbles. I just want it to be dry enough so I can lift this mask off of this thing and look to see that the latex isn't running down over top of the lip on the inside. I'm pretty sure it doesn't because this fabric stopped the latex from going totally through and messing up the other side. I'm about a foot away from it now instead of that 14, 15 inches away where I was before. So I just want to make sure I fill these little air bubbles. And this time we'll let it cure on its own. All right, do I see anything where it might, yeah, especially right here. Yep, I filled in those little spots that might be a little weak. And it don't matter what it looks like. Remember, it's the inside of the mask. It's the outside you want to make sure it looks good. All right, this is pretty much done. All I'm trying to do is stop them from running now. I don't want those running. I want them to cover that. then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cure for a couple days, turn it inside out, and then work on the outside of the mask, and closing in that black strip, you know, that little separation with latex. Kind of sculpting it a little bit too, so you'll see. This isn't exact science here. This is actually learn as you go. But this is pretty much it. This is done. All right, that's the tutorial on how to repair a split lip on your latex mask, part 1. Oh, part 2 actually, because I had to pause my progress because I had to run somebody to work. I'm the only one with a truck. Roads are pretty icy. Didn't want to take the chance of my son getting hurt out there unnecessarily. He's got a real small, tiny car. So, yeah, so I paused it, took care of that, and anyway, this is where we're at, and you know, okay, this is it. This is the repairing the NightCreeper. You know what? I'm not even sure which one this one was because I didn't. I think this is the 78. Yeah, this is prototype. This was a prototype in the very beginning. It was before I had the mouth shaped right. I had the, you know, I just didn't have the shape completely right, and I was, you know, constantly resculpting. I would mold it and not like it, not like the way it looked. Then I would sculpt it again, you know, resculpt it, retool it, as they call it. Whenever you take a sculpt and you fix it, you know, if it got a little damaged from demolding it, you know, and you want to change features on your sculpture, you're just retooling your sculpture, adding, taking away, changing the eye shapes just a little bit, you know, the little things. I don't think they're big changes, but there are quite a bit of big changes. But this is it. This is the first step of this. Can you see that? Yeah, it's pretty thick there. So now once this dries, and you know, for a couple of days, I'm going to trim off. Well, you know what? I might even wait a week, and then I'll trim off here. I'm going to make sure that this latex that's on here, this new latex, is really cured. I don't want it to be soft at all, because it takes about a week for latex to really cure. You know, see, look at that. When you run, you know, when you're dumping out your latex, you still got runs. It's naturally, that's what happens in latex masks, especially if you have like air bubbles and stuff. That's why I bought a vibrating table. I actually made a vibrating table, and now I don't have that issue anymore. I never have air bubbles. In the 3 or 4 masks that I've made since I got the vibrating table as experimental masks, I didn't make them real thick. I made them real thin, but I wanted to make sure the air bubbles were gone. So in the process of learning that, I also learned that making the mask way too thick shrinks the mask too much. It makes the mask get too small, and you know, the more latex, the more shrinkage. The less latex, the less shrinkage. You don't want a ton of shrinkage, because I don't want the mask getting so small that even a little kid has a hard, like this here, that's a small mask. That's really tight. That's because it's so thick. So I won't be making those planned, very thick masks like I thought I was gonna like I thought I could do. I don't have a big enough sculpture for that. I'd have to really do a lot of calculating to figure out the exact size I need that sculpture to be for making extremely thick mask, because you really have to make the sculpture super big, so when it shrinks down, you know. The other thing too is different latexes, I think, also shrink differently. So you may have an 1.25 inch shrinkage, inch shrinkage. It just depends. Just depends. So, with that being said, guys, I think I'm going to call this a day. This is part 2, only because I got interrupted. So, forgive me for that. But that'll keep it, you know, so this way the videos aren't too long. All right. So, peace. I'll see you guys. Let me get this thing now away from here. I'm sorry. All right, it's killed us.